Hi. So this month we are going to be reviewing the book called Homo Deus. Homo Deus is a spellbinding book by a distinguished historian, master storyteller, and intellectual acrobat called Yuval Noah Harari. Homo Deus is actually a sequel to the first brilliant book that Yuval wrote called Sapiens, where he explored the role evolving humans have played in charting the global ecosystem to the rise of empires. Sapiens integrates history and science and surveys the history of humankind from the Stone Age up to the 21st century. While Sapiens looks to the past, Homo Deus actually examines the future of humankind. So Yuval actually explores the reasons why humans have actually gained an urge over other species. Like, for example, how did you gain dominance over lions? How did you gain dominance over other, probably more intelligent animal species than us? And I think what he concludes is that humans don't gain dominance as a result of our intelligence. In fact, it was as a result of our ability to convene, like in seminars, in conferences, etc., to collectively solve our problems. But the second factor he attributes towards our dominance is our ability to tell stories and set narratives. For example, one of the examples he looks at is, how do we know that the dollar is valuable? A dollar is a piece of paper, yet people know that it has so much value and that you can use it as a common currency of exchange. The reason for that is because of the stories told behind the dollar. People could hate America, for example, but love the dollar because of the stories behind the value of the dollar. And that's what Homo Deus does. It explores these concepts around how to gain dominance. And one of the other factors that it looks into is what is the future of humankind in this century moving up to the next. Yes, I realize I've been saying Deus the last two times, which is hilarious. But Homo Deus is an extraordinary exploration of the future of humankind that leaves readers captivated by its thought-provoking insights. Its deep historical perspective provides an illuminating look at how the human society has evolved and how technology might shape its future. The overarching argument of the book is that over the last century, humans have managed to survive or overcome plagues, famine, war, right? But what will actually replace or top these as the top of the human agenda in the next century? I think one of the fascinating concepts that Yuval actually explores is how the top of the agenda for humans in this century is how to actually live prolonged lives. You know, how to live, how to defy our own mortality, how to live up to even 200 years. In other words, Yuval actually also talks about how when people die, in the past, when people died by mass casualty, it was attributed to gods, that God must be angry. But now, when people die at mass casualty, there's commissions that get set up because it's unnatural, right? And so now moving forward, it'll be unacceptable for people to die by disease, for example, because if the human heart does not function, it can be replaced, you know. And so the human agenda in the next century is how do you defy your own mortality? How do you live a prolonged life? And at the end of this century, through technology, through also moral issues like when you do artificial insemination, selecting genes that you would want your children to have, it will actually then lead to a concept of humans, us, and superhumans. Because at the end of the century, when all these moral issues have been overcome, people will now get to choose athletic kids, tall, intelligent, and an end. And this will actually lead to two types of species, the humans, which is the current species, which is us, and the superhumans, which are going to gain dominance over the humans and rule over us. But let me not spoil it for you. Pick up the book for yourself. It's very fascinating, and I hope, yeah, just let us know in the comments, if you've read the book, what do you think about it, and yeah.